Even if we had the apostolic autographs, there would be room for verbal criticism, since they, like other ancient books, were written as a continuous whole, without accents, without punctuation, without division of sentences or words, without titles and subscriptions, without even the name of the author unless it was part of the text itself. In the absence of the autographs, we must depend upon copies or secondary sources, but these are fortunately far more numerous and trustworthy for the Greek Testament than for any ancient classic. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. In the variety and fullness of the evidence on which it rests, the text of the New Testament stands absolutely and unapproachably alone among ancient prose writings. W&H, it's Westcott Hort, page 561. The sources of the text are threefold: manuscript copies, ancient versions, and patristic quotations. Doesn't sound right here. Okay, if you have the autographs, okay, you shouldn't really need to depend on copies of secondary sources. Okay, but they obviously probably weren't aware of that from the Apostolic Church of the East. But these are fortunately far more numerous and trustworthy for the Greek Testament. Okay, so maybe he's talking about the Greek specifically, than for any ancient classic. So think about that one. Think on that one, yeah. The Greek manuscripts. The manuscripts or codices, that's another name for book, right? Codex or codex. Codex means originally the trunk of a tree, stock, stem, then a block of wood split or sawn into planks, leaves or tablets and fastened together, hence a book, as the ancients wrote on tablets of wood smeared with wax, the leaves being laid one atop upon another. The Hebrew manuscripts are in rolls, okay, or scrolls, right? Okay. The manuscripts of codices are the direct and most important sources. They number now over 1,700 at that time, counting all classes, and new ones may yet be discovered. That's what we said in those days, in that era, right? That's how many there were covered. The total number of manuscripts recorded by Dr. Scrivener, including lectionaries, is 158 unseals and 1605 cursives, page 269. Compare whatever that is. But his list is incomplete. Okay. He gives an index of about 1277 separate Greek manuscripts of the New Testament, arranged according to the countries where they are now deposited. Paragraph 571, 584. He assigns 3 to Denmark, 293 to England, 238 to France, 96 to Germany, 6 to Holland, 3 to Ireland, 368 to Italy, 81 to Russia, 8 to Scotland, 23 to Spain, 1 to Sweden, 14 to Switzerland, 104 to Turkey, 39 unknown. See also Edward C. Mitchell, Critical Handbook, tables 8, 9 and 10. Okay. So there's heaps of more information here, and it's quite extensive. It goes on for a hell of a long time, okay, but it's good information. Okay, what's this? Okay, Sinaitic and Vatican manuscripts. Goes on about the Aleph. What's this? Aleph Codex Sinaiticus, formerly in the convent of Mount Sinai, hence its name. Now in the Imperial Library at St. Petersburg. It's obviously in Russia. It dates from the middle of the 4th century. It is written on fine parchment, and it gives its width, height, and all that sort of stuff. It has 346.5 leaves. It was discovered and secured by the indefatigable, he says fancy words again, Professor C. Tischendorf in the Council of St. Catherine, Convent of St. Catherine, at the foot of Mount Sinai on the 4th of February 1859. It was published at St. Petersburg, printed at Leipzig at the expense of the Tsar Alexander II in celebration of the first millennium of the Russian Empire, in accurate imitation by types, etc. The story of the discovery, which made Tischendorf one of the happiest men Scaff ever knew, reads like an heroic romance. His 3 journeys from Leipzig to Mount Sinai in pursuit of a manuscript, treatise in 1844, 53 and 59. His first rescue of 43 leaves of the Septuagint from a wastebasket in the convent of St. Catherine in 1844. His final discovery of the whole Codex Sinaiticus in 1859, with the powerful aid of the recommendation of that noble Tsar who met such terrible death at the hands of the Nihilists in 1881. His patient labour in transcribing it at Cairo and in its publication at Leipzig and so forth, so forth, so forth. Okay. After long delays, the manuscript was formally presented to the Tsar in 1869 by the new prior, Archbishop Callistratos, and the monks of the convents of St. Catherine in Cairo. See Tischendorf, Die Sinai Bibel, 1871, page 91. This is German for the Sinai Bible. Some more information here. Even more. Goes on for pages and pages and pages, so we're going to try to skip it. Must be here all day. And we're going to go to St. Matthew. Yeah, go back to the beginning of that. Okay, even further. Back to the start of it. Okay, we have to go back. Okay, find the right place. Okay, still going back. Where are we? 8. Oh my gosh. I think it was at 6. Okay, 1:9. Okay, here's the translation of the Gospel of Matthew. Here's the Greek, the Koine Greek on this side. Okay, basically the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. They have these numbers here, which probably have some sort of indication in the margin here. The generation, or the Greek as, can't really see that, ASA, is that a J? Even though it's full screen, we can hardly see this thing. You can't see it. It's really, really blurry. Okay, look at this one. There might be a RAF or something like that. Not really sure. Yeah. In the Greek. From here it looks like ASAPH. Could be a J, for all we know. Okay, so yeah, it's basically the genealogy list as you find in your everyday English version. Okay, here it is in the original Galilean-Aramaic, translated in English by Victor Alexander. Okay, the books of the birth of Yeshua the Messiah, or Jesus the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Here's the whole list here, right? Go back here. Abraham begat. Yeah, it's the language of that day, right? Begat. It's like probably like similar to the King James, right? How they put it. Okay, how it's put in there. Begat. Here it's more down to earth in English. Yeah, it doesn't use any Shakespeare speak, so they can fully understand it. It says the books of the birth of Yeshua and Shakka, or the Messiah, Jesus the Messiah, son of David, the son of Abraham. So Abraham was born, Isaac, see? And then further down here to Josiah, because you get the general idea they were born, right? Yeah. To Jacob, he had a son called Joseph, who was the husband of Mary, the Mary to whom he was born Yeshua, who was called the Anointed One. Well, he gets married to her later on, right? Probably after he, Jesus the Messiah, or Yeshua, was born, who is called the Anointed One. So it's 16. 1:12 in B, verse 1:12. Note, again, 14 generations counting Joseph's generation and Joshua's generation, which is the generation of the disciples as well. Okay. 14 generations counting Joseph's generation, you got that. Because they're supposed to come from the house of David or Solomon, something like that. And Joshua's generation, which is the generation of the disciples as well. So they're included as his generation. Interesting. 1:16. To Jacob, Joseph, husband of Mary, Joshua. Okay, so it gives you English translation of that. Literal Aramaic name, Joshua in English. Okay, or Jesus the Messiah. 1:16.2. Literal Aramaic title, Shakka, Messiah, common spelling in English, or the Messiah. Okay, 1:25. And he did not have intercourse with her until she gave birth to the male son. He's the oldest, right? He's the oldest son. And she called him Joshua. So there are some claims that Joseph had a wife before her, or had a family before her, so he had half-breed brothers. I don't think so. Okay. These are his latter legitimate brothers, right? She gave birth to other ones after. Okay, so we got Matthew 2. Yes, Matthew 2. What are we talking about? Matthew 3. Okay, what we're actually looking for here is this verse here. Joseph having that dream about Herod, wanted to kill the child, so he took off to Egypt. Okay, and he's actually in Egypt, and it says here, however, when Herod died, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in Egypt, and he told him, rise, take the little boy and his mother and go to the land of Israel, because those who sought the boy's life are dead. In other words, Herod died. Okay, and all those that were part of the plan to kill these children off in Nazareth. And Joseph rose, took the little boy and his mother, and came to the land of Israel. However, as he heard that Archelaus, isn't it? Became king of Judah in place of his father Herod, who was afraid to go there. And he saw in a dream that he went to the country of Galilee. Yeah, because maybe the son was nasty too. Apparently Herod had a couple of people in his family strangled, maybe a son or something like that. And then this guy took over, and he probably was just as bad as him. However, as he heard that Archelaus became king of Judah in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there, like father, like son, right? And he saw in a dream that he went into the country of Galilee, and he came and lived in a town called Nazareth. So what the prophets had said came to be fulfilled, that victorious he shall be called. Okay, and down here's footnote 2:23. In Aramaic, pronounced Nusrat. We had a neighbour, Indian girl, part of the family, right? Christians. Father was a lovely man, John, and her name was Nusrat. We know that because we picked up her old school folder she'd biffed outside, right? And it had that name on it, Nusrat, meaning to victorious. Okay. Or of the town of Nazareth. So we want to have a look at Matthew 1:25 to see if it's akin or close to that original Galilean-Aramaic, original ancient Galilean-Aramaic. Then it may have the same thing here, but we're doubtful because they don't go that deep, do they? Okay, let's have a look here. Can we go back? 125. 125. Where's it? Down here somewhere. 125. And they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is being interpreted, God with us, etc., etc. Brought forth a son, and he called his name Jesus. Okay, because it's in the Greek. Because it's in the Greek, as we were saying, before this thing decided to go backwards by itself. No, we've just pressed on it by mistake. Says here, they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is being interpreted God with us. She brought forth a son and called his name Jesus. Yeah, well, that's Jesus in the Greek, Jesus in the Latin, isn't it? Okay. So this is probably a Latinized form of Greek. Yeah. If they're using that name there, it should have. Well, they've put it into English, haven't they? They've translated it. These people have translated it into English, so they added the name Jesus in bold type. Okay. When originally in the Greek, it wouldn't have had that. It would have had Iesus, I-E-O-S-U-S, right? Or Iesus, whatever, however you say that. Okay, so we're going to have a look in the margin here to see. There's nothing here. It says, indicates like, okay, 5. Greek. It's really, really hard to see. Yeah, whatever that is in the Greek, looks longer than Emmanuel. Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably correct there. But this, yeah, I don't think the Greeks. Where is it here? 20, 25. Okay, not too sure which word that would be, but it's in Greek, so it's probably, not too sure, it's probably this one. Not really sure. This last one here. Not really sure on that one. You have to go find out what's the actual word for Jesus in the Greek. We might actually do that. We should have put what's the name of Jesus in Greek. Might have been a bit more sense. Made a bit more sense. Okay, there it is in the Greek, supposedly. So, yeah, it's this one here. This last one here. Yeah. Which is Jesus' name in English comes from the Latin Iesus. Okay, so that's from the Latin Iesus, which is a transliteration of the Greek Iesus, which is a transliteration of the Aramaic name Yeshua. Well, that's actually Hebrew, because it's Yoshua, right, or Ishua, which comes from the Hebrew Yehoshua or Joshua. This is incorrect. Okay, we have evidence from the translator that this is translated wrong. The name comes from the Hebrew verb yasha, which means he saves, and the proper name Yah, which is short for the name Yahweh. Okay. Here it is, Strong's Greek 24:24. There's a word there. Iesus, Saus, Jesus or Joshua, okay, which means Yahweh saves, or Yahweh salvation. That's Hebrew, isn't it? Here's some more. Jesus is a masculine given name derived from Iesus. Jesus in classical Latin. There we go. Okay, this word here. Is that similar to this? Okay, go back to it again. Yeah, it's got a different ending on it, but it looks of it. Okay, so that's probably a Latinized form of the Greek. Not sure on that one. You have to magnify it or something like that, which we can't do at the moment. But yeah, it looks kind of different. Okay, this has gone forward. Okay, here it is here. Jesus is a masculine given name derived from Iesus. Jesus, Iesus. See how they've changed it? In classical Latin. What's classical Latin? The form of Latin language recognized as a literary standard by writers of the late Roman Republic and early Romanic Empire. It was used from 75 BC to the 3rd century AD, when it developed into late Latin. Yeah, and in later periods, it was probably made into modern. Actually, we could have a look at that. If we go back, or go forward to that, so you know what the rest of that sentence is. Yeah, it was developed into late Latin. Some later periods it was regarded as good or proper Latin, which followed versions viewed as debased, degenerate or corrupted. The word Latin is now understood by default to mean classical Latin. For example, modern Latin textbooks almost exclusively teach classical Latin. Okay, so looking to see if there's anything here that there was a Latinized form of Greek. Let's go have a look up here. We'll go type it in here. Let's look for the Latinized form of Greek instead of going through all of that. Latinized form of Greek. Latinized Greek. Okay, okay, it's not really in depth. Romanization of Greek. The conventions for writing and Romanizing ancient Greek and modern Greek differ markedly. The sound of the English letter B, blah blah blah. Okay. The Greek name became Johannes or Johannes in Latin, and then John in English. List of Latinized names. Okay. So yeah, probably they Romanized it or Latinized it. Okay. So you've got a Latinized or Romanized version of that name. Yeah, we have to go searching for it. Latinized form of the Greek. Yeah? Latinized form of the Greek. Name, Sandros, derived from Greek. So there's possibly evidence here that it's a Latinized form of Greek existed. Okay, I'm going to go back to here. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, this is the Greek. This is the original Koine Greek. And then they've Latinized it, and it's very different. Okay. Anyway, we're carrying on. So it's a Latinized form of Greek, or Romanized. Okay. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Magi, etc., etc. So we're going to have a look at the next one. Yeah, so there's a vast difference between this and the ancient Galilean-Aramaic translated into English by Victor N. Alexander, a native-born Aramaic-speaking Mesopotamian from Syria. Yeah, as he said, it should be akin, it should be pretty much like it. If it's the original Koine Greek, akin. So do that, we clear that up so you don't have any misunderstandings. Take it out of context. Okay, where's akin? What does it mean? Descended from a common ancestor or prototype. Okay, so that would mean that that Greek, that Koine Greek, is a translation of that original Galilean-Aramaic, or that Nineveh Aramaic. Close to it, right? A common denominator. You know, it's in common with it. Okay, should be pretty close to it. Some more definitions down here to clear that up. Of the same kin, related. Oh, I don't know, it's not the one we're looking at. Having a similar quality or character, analogous. Having some of the same qualities, having some of the same qualities, having etc. Right. Okay, could also mean, this is the second meaning here we're going to look at, because we did a video on the Neanderthal man interbreeding, or the human beings interbreeding with the Neanderthal man in the Brita, or the original Genesis. Okay, so they were akin, and the definition is of kin, related by blood, usually used predicatively, cousins who are too closely akin for marriage. So that's why they had giants, strange creatures, and freaks. Okay. Should be some more definitions on that, but I think we got it down pat. Okay. Akin. Similar to. So that Koine Greek should be similar to it. The Aramaic, ancient Aramaic, right? Very similar to it in the translation. Okay. But if these people have used that Greek word here, Iosos, and it's been changed or Romanized into the Latin or Romanized Latin Roman Jesus, something's not right here, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah, again, there is a difference between the Aramaic and the supposed Greek, right? Because they've put it into English, right? Not using the mindset of that Greek. Yeah? You have the Eastern mindset, you have a Western mindset. Okay? But in this case, they have it translated it according to what this Greek actually says. Here's the proof. They've added the Romanized form of the name Jesus. Right? But this is there's probably a reason why it's so you can understand who they're going on about, right? Who they're referring to. Okay, so hopefully we haven't confused you. Okay, we've got Matthew 2. Okay, here it says, and they will call his name Emmanuel, which means Allah with us, or God with us. Is it down here? Where is it? 23. Where are we? Yeah, hasn't got it for that. Okay, 116. So it's right. 123. No, he hasn't got that for that. But yeah, it's basically God with us. So that's correct there. Okay, so we're going to jump ahead because you might feel we might be confusing. The New Testament in the original Greek introduction and appendix, 1882. The New Testament in the original Greek introduction and appendix, 1882. Fenton, John Anthony, Hort, Primary, Brooke Foster, Westcott, whatever. This is the comparison volume to the New Testament in the original Greek, which was published the prior year, 1881. This text expands upon the notes in volume 1, preface to explain at length and in detail the goals and techniques driving the development of that text. The second part of this volume, appendix, is skipped, currently in favour of publishing the introduction. I think that's what they said in the beginning of this. Yeah, that's what they actually said. They stated. Scaff. Where did we go? Where did we go? Okay. Oh, we're right at the end here somewhere. Where the hell was it? We lost it. Oh my gosh. We've lost it, have we? No? Here it is. Sorry about that. Yeah, the New Testament in the original Greek, introduction appendix. The New Testament in the original Greek, etc., etc. It's the Latin there. Contents of introduction. Further down, prefatory remarks, purpose of this edition. The need for criticism of the NT, the text. Okay, so there, this is what they've left out for the sake of that book that Scaff had published, with that translation, Westcott and Hort's translation. Okay, it's quite a lot there that they've left out. Maybe it was too much detail. Okay, it's right down here, right down to the bottom. Okay, that's what they've left out. By the looks of it, you could probably hit on it. Something here, like contents of introduction, and it'll tell you the need. There's the introduction. No, is it going to go there? Okay. Introduction. This edition is an attempt to present exactly the original words of the New Testament so far as they can now be determined from surviving documents. Since the testimony delivered by the several documents or witnesses is full of complex variation, the original text cannot be elicited from it without the use of criticism, that is, of a process of distinguishing and setting aside those readings which have originated at some link in the chain of transmission. So it's saying here, this edition is an attempt to present exactly the original words of the New Testament, okay, which they okay, this is supposed to be the edition. The edition is an attempt to present exactly the original words of the Koine Greek New Testament, so far as they can now determine from surviving documents. Well, it does not show here that they haven't, because they've added this, a Romanized name or Latinized name, Jesus, okay, not the Greek, okay, which would probably mean something else in the Greek, probably the Messiah or something like that, or I don't know about Joshua in the Greek, not really sure. Don't want to go into it too much because it get confusing, right? Okay, you work it out yourself. Okay, we don't want to confuse you. Okay, so people say we look at things too black and white, but you really need to. See, because when you study something, there might be just one word in the sentence that you don't understand. Okay, you may get to say a word like elicited, right? You don't understand what it means. Okay, so you take this whole sentence because of that one word out of context. Okay, so that's why we go deep and look at these sentences. This edition is an attempt to present exactly, yeah, the original words of the New Testament. They're not saying, well, you know, near, close, something similar, you know, that sort of stuff. They're saying, they're using this word. Okay, exactly. This is that edition. New Testament in the original Greek is an attempt to present exactly the original words of the New Testament, so far as they can now be determined from surviving documents. Since the testimony delivered by the several documents or witnesses for a complex variation, the original text cannot be elicited from it, or it can't be taken and translated from it, without the use of criticism. That is, of a process of distinguishing and setting aside those readings which have originated at some link in the chain of transmission. Okay, that being passed down or passed on. This introduction is intended to be a succinct account, so you could have a problem here with that word. You'd have to look it up and define it with a dictionary that has three meanings and find the appropriate one that fits that sentence, the correct one that fits the sentence. One of the reasons why criticism is still necessary for the text of the New Testament, etc. The office of textual criticism, it cannot be too clearly understood at the outset. It is always secondary and always negative. Again, textual criticism is always negative because its final aim is virtually nothing more than the detection and rejection of error. And 4. In the case indeed of many ill-preserved ancient writings, textual criticism has a further and much more difficult task, that of detecting and removing corruptions affecting the whole of the existing documentary evidence, and so forth. Okay. And plenty more here. Preparatory remarks. Okay. But yeah, I think this guy left it out, Scaffer left it out of that publication because it's just too much. Alright. They were taking up bulk of the book. So that's understandable. But what we're also going to try and do is we're going to go right over here to Matthew 27. Okay, we might just jump this one first. See if we can go to 27 to see what they've put. Translated from the original Greek, or that which is close to this, supposed to be close to this Koine Greek translated into English. Okay, if it's similar or it's relatable, we're going to verify it or disprove it. Where are we? St. Luke? No, gone too far. Should have stayed in Matthew. St. Luke. Okay. I'm going to go to 27:46. It was 50. 27:46. Okay, which reads, we'll go from 45, when Christ was crucified. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour, or earth, right? Until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, my God, which is correct. Whether it's Eloi, Eloi, El, my God, he's crying out to his Father, right? Why hast thou forsaken me? This is where it's incorrect. Okay. You have a number indication here in the margin. It says, or why didst thou forsake me? Okay, so people are going to say, oh, that's the original Greek, Koine Greek, so that's what it says, okay, but it's actually incorrect. Oh, how do you know? Right? And they start coming at us, throwing us 20,000 scriptures saying, oh, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? So what we're going to do is going to go back here to the the original ancient Galilean-Aramaic, and we're going to look at Matthew chapter 27, verse 46, which reads, and at the 9th hour Joshua, or Jesus the Messiah, or Jesus, cried out in a loud voice and said, El, El, or El, Lamana Shvakthani. Okay? And some of the people who stood there, however, as they heard this, said he's calling Elijah, or Elijah. And we're going to have a look at the footnotes of this original ancient Galilean-Aramaic translated into English. Yeah? And what does it say? 27:46, original ancient Aramaic retained. Yeah? I am. That's who's crying out to, the I am. Wherefore have you left me? El is a title of Allah, or God, okay, in the Aramaic. Is, right? It has not been translated in English as such. Therefore, Victor N. Alexander, the translator, has used the more acceptable designation, I am. So all people would understand it. Oh, he said he's the I am, God. So it must be God, right? He's calling out to God. Okay? God is the I am. I am I, right? Idiomatically, or expression-wise, wherefore implies destiny. Shvik is the only correct transliteration, and it means left me, in the sense of the purpose for which Joshua, or Jesus the Messiah, was left on the cross. It absolutely does not mean forsaken in this usage. You could go to, I've already done a video on this, possibly Mark 15, something like that. Can't remember exactly which one it is at the moment. It escapes our brain. Where it says this does not mean forsaken, right? Because it's a second or third transliteration of the Greek, the Arabic, or the Greek, and it doesn't mean forsaken in that sense, okay? Because that wherefore implies destiny. So you say, why have you left me on this cross? You've left me on here for my destiny that had, it's like born for, or incarnated as God in the flesh, etc. That's a mission he was on, right? That's something he had to do. He had to die on the cross, shed his blood for the sacrifice, as a sacrifice, for the remissions of all men's sins. Okay, so it absolutely does not mean forsaken in this usage. So if anybody's out there going, oh, this verse says, my God, why have you forsaken me? They're lying to you. They're giving you a false interpretation. They're not even aware of it, right? They say, oh, no, my NIV or my King James says that. Or it's actually wrong. We've just proven it. Okay? So we would like to have a look at, where is it? 2746. Okay? Look at it again. So they're using the Greek transliteration. Because if it was very similar, the original Koine Greek, to the Galilean-Aramaic, it would say similar words, wouldn't it? Or indicate he's saying, why have you left me, Father, to what I was destined to do? You've left me, right? Okay? He's actually crying out what David said in Psalms, apparently. He's quoting David in Psalms. But in that psalm, David, or whoever was crying out, was saying, it's like, I'm praying to you, I'm speaking to you, God, but you're not hearing me, or you're ignoring me. And it's like weighing on my heart or my mind heavily. Okay? He's quoted that, apparently, which verifies that prophecy that he would die on the cross, etc., etc. We already covered a video on that, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But yeah, you see, this here is, where is it? Him saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani, is probably from the Syriac, or the Hebrew, maybe. It's not the Aramaic, because it would be Il. Where are we? As we showed, it would be up here. Il, lamana shukthani. Yeah. Because also if you used Eli, let's have a look at Eli. See what that means. Forget that last statement. Eli. See what it means. Probably Hebrew, something like that. Not sure. Gonna check it out. Always best to be sure, right?